Hi, I'm John McCann from Survival Resources. We're going to shoot a video today on our new grain mill. We've been looking for a good grain mill for quite a few years here. We've looked at units made overseas and made in America. A lot of these different type of mills were made either out of cast or they were made out of aluminum, and it just wasn't what we were looking for. We wanted something very substantial. A good friend of ours gave us a lead about a company out in Montana called the Bitterroot Tool and Machine Company, and they make what they call the GrainMaker Grain Mill. This is one of those units right here. This is a number 99. This is a medium-sized unit. After checking their website, we were very impressed with the fact that they're made right here in America, in Montana, and that they have a lifetime warranty on them. So that's something we wanted. We contacted the company. You can't just call and order one of these things and have it delivered the next day. They literally bill them when you order them. So we waited, I think it was 3 to 4 weeks for this unit to arrive, and we've been very impressed with it. Now, as I said, they have 3 different units. They have a large unit, which is called the number 116, which was much larger than what we require just for a small family. That unit has 6-inch grinding burrs on it, and it's rather expensive. It costs $1,265. They also have a small unit, which was a little too small for what we were looking for, called the number 35, and that has 3.5-inch grinding burrs on it, and that unit is $325. What we settled on was this unit here. As I indicated, this is the number 99 medium-sized grain mill, and this thing has true 5-inch grinding burrs on it. It costs $675, which seems expensive, but if you amortize it over your life and the life of your children and hopefully their children, I think it was a very good price for something that's very substantial. They have many types of options for these grain makers. You can get table clamps for them that mount them to the table. As you can see with this unit here, I mounted it to a large chopping block piece of wood, and I used some chrome cap nuts. We'll give a little close-up of this later. They have electric motors that you can buy for them, so you don't have to crank them by hand. They also have a unit which we're very interested in and plan on buying here in the near future, which is a bicycle kit, it's called. And what it does is it hooks up to the main thing here, and you pedal the bicycle, and that causes you to be able to turn this by pedaling the bicycle. I kind of like that idea. I can both get exercise at the same time that I grind grain. This one here has 2 augers that come with it. It has the coil auger, which is inside it right now. It's the one that comes inside. And this is for your small grains such as wheat, barley, rice, even popcorn. And this is the one that we use probably all the time. It also has another one on this side, which I will show when we get around to this side of the unit, and it's called the Grain Breaker auger. And this is for larger media like corn, legumes, coffee beans, nuts, that type of thing. We haven't really used that auger yet. We probably will in the future, but right now we keep the small coil auger in there because it's really the smaller grains that we grind. So what I'd like to do now is give you a look around this machine, and we're going to look at the various different sides of it so you can get a close-up of it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grind some grain, and then when we're done with that, we're going to make some bread out of the grain. I'm not sure if that's going to be part of this video or the next video, but it depends on how much time we spend showing you how to grind grain, and then we will either include that with this video or we will make it a part 2 to this video. So let's get up, let's move around and get some different shots of this machine and show you exactly what it looks like. Okay, as you can see, this is the front of the GrainMaker number 99 grain mill. It has a cover on it. It's made from oak, and this is more or less to keep dust out of it when it's in storage. This easily comes off. It just sets on there, and we'll leave that off for the rest of the video as we really don't need it to explain anything. This right here is the hopper. This is where you put the grain. It has a protective unit in here. We'll show a close-up later. This is a insert that sets down in here, and what this keeps you from doing is getting your fingers down into the grinding burrs while you're grinding grain. This right here in the front, this here is your grinding burrs. The larger thing here, there's 2 of them that go together. This here is your adjustment. This is to adjust it for coarse or fine grain, and we will show you how this works further when we do it. As you can see right here, it happens to say the McCanns. The reason for that is for a very nominal fee. When they make these for you, they will put your name on it or anything you want. For the nominal fee, we had them put the McCanns on it. That way we can use it for ourselves, and then when we pass it on to our children, they're still going to be the McCanns so that they can continue to use this. As you can see down here, what I did was I mounted this to, as I indicated earlier, to a large piece of cutting board so that I can move this around, and I used cap nuts in order to hold this securely to the board. On the bottom side I used a Forstner bit so that I could inset the bolts that were coming up through in order to attach this. It makes it a nice little move around unit. We can move it around the house as opposed to having it mounted permanently to a table or something like that. Okay, this here is the left side of the unit. This is the side we just shown. As you see the hopper, this is a different view of the hopper. This down here is what we call the GrainMaker auger. They built a place right on side of this where they have a small pin that you can pull, and then the auger comes out. And then you replace this auger with the auger that's inside, which is the coil auger for the smaller grains. As I indicated, we haven't used this yet because we really don't use any of the larger medium, but this stores right here very nicely, and it has this pin that goes on it and locks it into place, and it stays right on the machine. Okay, as you can see, this is the back of the unit. This is the area that has the flywheel and the grinding handle. As you can see, the grinding handle has a nice little oak spinner handle on it, and this is where you stand, and this is where you will see us grinding later with this thing. It's a large flywheel. It does have an input in this for some type of a pulley system or some type of a belt that'll go on here if you want to hook it up to a motor or to a bicycle unit, something like that. As you can see, this is the last and final side, being the right side of the unit. Each one of these units, when they come from the manufacturer, has a plaque that is riveted right to the unit. This plaque gives the GrainMaker name. It provides the manufacturer's information. Down here it indicates the model number, and it says that it's a lifetime heirloom guarantee, and then each one of these units is serial numbered so that you have your own serial number for this unit. When you call the manufacturer, you provide them with this number. They know exactly who has this machine and who it was built for. Anyway, this is the GrainMaker Grain Mill, and what we're going to do now is we're going to actually grind some grain and show you how this little baby works. Okay, last but not least, this is the top of the unit. This is the hopper. As we spoke about before, we saw side views of that. This is that protective plate that sits down in there. This is made from stainless. You can see it's very substantial, and this is laid inside here, and what it does is keep you from putting your fingers down inside of this. You can see down in here are the augers, and when you turn this, you'll see those augers turn. So you don't want to get your fingers down inside there, and that's what this plate is for. When you pour the grain in here, it goes down through these holes and gets into the auger. We'll be showing this when we're grinding, but I wanted you to see a top view of this before we moved on to the actual grinding. Hi, John McCann again. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually grind some grain. I'd like to introduce my wife, Denise.
Hi.
And she's going to be assisting me here, doing all the hard work, pouring in the grain and checking the consistency of it. And what I'm going to be doing is just operating the flywheel here. Okay, let's put some grain in here, baby. As you see, we just pour it in the hopper. It's covering the plate right now, but as it grinds, it's going to go down. What we do first is you've got to work with the different settings on this for the grind. What you normally want to do, and what we do, is you want to grind it a couple of times. I know that sounds like more work, but believe me, it's not. If you grind it a little coarser to begin with, and you get it all through there and you get a coarse grind, then we'll take that grind, we'll put it back into the grinder, and we'll turn it to a finer setting, and it is actually easier in the long term. In order to be able to grind it, it's a little easier on you. So basically what you really got to do is start turning this flywheel. Okay, as you can see, as we're turning the flywheel back here, you can see this grain comes out pretty easy. I'm not putting a lot of effort into this, doing this on a coarse grind. As you can tell, there's a little bit of noise involved in this, but you can tell that this comes out very quickly. Okay, you can tell when you're done. You hear the machine going around, but you're not hearing any more grinding. This is the completed course of grind, of the coarse grind we just did. Now I want you to notice that this is much coarser than it is when you actually get your fine flour at the end. This took us about 5.5 minutes to grind it in the coarse grind. Now I'm not saying this is easy, people. You're going to work at this, but to us it's a labor of love. Grinding it is, you got to keep going around with your arm, and it's going to be some work. Unless you want to put an electric motor on it, which we don't desire to do. We want to do it this way. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to add this back into the machine. We're going to set it on fine setting, and we're going to grind it again to get the actual flour that we're going to make the bread with. Let's do that. You want to get that back in there, baby?
I'm going to try.
As you can see, we're just going to add this back into the hopper. This is the coarse grind. We're going to set the bowl back under here, and we're going to adjust this in the front. Would you adjust that to a finer setting? You normally remember what we set it at. And what you want to do is you want to grind just a little bit. And then you want to check it. If you're like me, you have an expert who was a home ec teacher in Switzerland. She knows pretty much what it has to feel like in order for it to be ground properly for flour. Whether you want it coarse or light ground, she can, through feel, my wife can tell if this is like flour you would get in a bag. Is that good?
Try that again, yeah.
This normally goes a little faster because it's already been ground once.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, the expert says that's good. So we're going to keep going. What I'm going to do is turn off the camera. We're going to time this and let you know how long it took us to do the final grind. Okay, again you can see we have finished the final grind. Actually took a minute longer. It took us about 6 minutes. Sometimes what you have to understand with this thing is it's all about setting it up. We may have not done it fine enough the first time, or done it too coarse the first time. You're going to learn that you're going to play with this, and you're going to learn the type of settings. 5 minutes to 6 minutes, that's 11 minutes altogether. I don't think that's bad for an afternoon of work grinding some grain. Okay, what I want to do now is give you a close-up of the two final products so you can see the difference between the coarse and the fine grain. Let's take a look. Okay, Denise, show us the difference in the grain here.
Okay, this one here is the coarser grind. You can see the difference in color for one, and when I pick it up, it feels thicker and it kind of falls in a steady, quick flow. Now the finer stuff, when I feel that, it's much smoother, and when you kind of push it together, it actually sticks together. See if I can show that a little better. Where the coarse grind will not do that. It's just going to fall apart again.
Thank you, dear.